Hello and welcome to the She Reads Romance Books podcast, the ultimate show for romance book lovers looking for the best books worth reading. I'm your host, Leslie Murphy, and in each short episode, I share my favorite book list of recommendations so you know exactly what to add to your must-read list. Join me as I explore the romance genre and have fun collecting book boyfriends along the way, because life is better with a love story. Hey readers, I don't know about you, but I am getting super excited to start watching the Summer Olympics this year. This year's Summer Games are in Paris, France, and while I think it would be amazing to go to Paris for one, and it would be doubly amazing to see the Olympics Games live, it would also be absolutely crazy, I think, to try and even find a place to stay, let alone travel into the city to see an Olympic event. But seeing an Olympic event in person might be one of those items that lives forever on my bucket list, but time will tell. Maybe it will happen. For now, I am just going to sit back and enjoy binge watching this year's Summer Olympics on the TV and getting super emotional whenever they do those, athlete profile pieces, because I always do, or I always, lose it when I watch them. They get me every single time. I just love those personal pieces though, and wouldn't have it any other way. But to help you get into the Olympic spirit, whether or not you choose to watch the opening ceremonies this week or watch any of the events, I thought I would highlight some romance books that feature the Summer Olympic Games and possibly a Summer Olympic athlete or two. These Summer Olympic romance books will keep you busy the entire 2 weeks plus of the Summer Olympics. And if you want to, alternate between reading a book and watching the events, you can have at it, have fun, and I say go Team USA. The first Summer Olympic romance book that I wanted to highlight are in the Summer Games series by R.S. Gray, for which there are 2 books. One is called Settling the Score, and it features both an Olympic swimmer and an Olympic soccer player, or I guess football players, I should say, to call it internationally. And here is what this romance book is about. As an Olympic rookie, Andy Foster has spent far more time in her cleats than between the sheets. For 21 years, her Friday nights have consisted of blocking shots rather than taking them. But now that she's landed in Rio, she's ready to see for herself if the rumors about the Olympic Village are true. The athletes are all sex-crazed maniacs. The committee passes out condoms like candy. The games continue long after the medals have been handed out. As Andy walks the line between rumor and reality, she's forced into the path of Frederick Archibald, a decorated Olympic swimmer and owner of a sexy British accent. Too bad he's unavailable in a way that it's complicated doesn't even begin to explain. In other words, off limits. It doesn't matter that he has abs that could bring peace to the Middle East and a smile that makes even the Queen blush. Andy fully intends on keeping her focus on the soccer field. But the village is small, suffocating. Everywhere Andy goes, Freddie happens to be there, shirtless and wet from the pool, and determined to show her a whole new meaning of the phrase international affairs. Okay, this book summary had me at shirtless, wet from the pool. I love that R.S. Gray is using the Olympic Village as the premise for her Summer Olympics romance book because, if I let my imagination run wild, I can only imagine what shenanigans those athletes must get up to when, the adrenaline is pumping, and especially when their event is over and they are just absolutely ready to let loose. I like to think that this is a mix of soccer and swimmer athletes that you definitely want to check out. The heroine sounds like she is on the young side and probably someone who doesn't have a lot of worldly experience since she's undoubtedly been so, completely focused on her Olympic training for so many years. So I'm pretty excited to see how it all plays out for her. Now, the next book in Gray's Summer Games series is called Out of Bounds, and it features an Olympic gymnast and her new coach. And here is what it's about. I despise Eric Winter. He's arrogant and cruel, a man I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. And by some twisted turn of fate, he's my new Olympic gymnastics coach. I've had to contend with gruff coaches in the past, but Eric is far worse. His stern demeanor complements a body built for intimidation, and his reprimands come from a mouth so cunning, I know it could strip me of my defenses if I let it. Though each of us would love to be rid of the other forever, we are bound to each other by need and necessity. I'm his rising star, his best shot at proving himself to his critics, and without a coach, I have zero chance of winning gold in Rio. The easiest way forward would be to wave a white flag and make peace with the man I'll be sharing close quarters with for the foreseeable future, but he is intent on a battle. Fine by me. If he pushes me, I'll push back harder. If he wants to test me, to play with my head, I'll show him just how many boundaries I'm willing to cross, because I know it's not a choice between winning or warring, not if you can have them both. And at the end of it all, I plan on leaving Rio with gold around my neck and his icy heart in the palm of my hand. Okay, this one sounds so interesting with a kind of forced proximity vibe and a type of forbidden romance since it's between Olympic athlete and coach. It's also got a kind of juicy enemies to lovers vibe going on as well. And you know how I love a good enemies to lovers story. I want to see how far he pushes her in training and possibly away from the arena as well. Sounds like it could be super spicy too. So here's hoping on that one. Another Summer Olympics romance book featuring a gymnast is Head Over Heels by Hannah Orenstein. And here is what it is about. The past 7 years have been hard on Avery Abrams. After training her entire life to make the Olympic gymnastics team, a disastrous performance ended her athletic career for good. Her best friend and teammate, Jasmine, went on to become an Olympic champion, then committed the ultimate betrayal by marrying their emotionally abusive coach, Dimitri. Now reeling from a breakup with her football star boyfriend, Avery returns to her Massachusetts hometown, where new coach Ryan asks her to help him train a promising young gymnast with Olympic aspirations. Despite her misgivings and worries about the memories it will evoke, Avery agrees. Back in the gym, she's surprised to find sparks flying with Ryan. But when a shocking scandal in the gymnastics world breaks, it has shattering effects not only for the sport, but also for Avery and her old friend, Jasmine. Okay. The gymnastic events are so popular to watch in the Summer Olympics, right? I cannot imagine the amount of dedication and the work it takes to become great in this sport, let alone to snag one of the few spots on the U.S. Olympic team. This book actually makes me think of the scandal that rocked the U.S. Olympic gymnastics team, somewhat recently about the team doctor, I think it was, and gosh, that kind of makes me sick just thinking about it. But I imagine with sports at this level that coaches really ride that line, right, between motivational and being downright bullies because they have just as much at stake in their athletes succeeding or not. But I would say if you're intrigued by the world of gymnastics and the power plays involved, then I would check out this Summer Olympic romance book and see what you think. And with gymnastics being so popular, we have a relatively new Summer Olympics romance book to check out this year, which is called Burnout by Rebecca Jinkshaw. And here is what it is about. Knox Holland is in a jam, and after an incredible first year on the pro motocross circuit, he should be on top of the world. Instead, his bad reputation has landed him without a team. He's untouchable and desperate to turn it around, which is how he ends up at my gym asking me to train him. As a college gymnast with 2 Olympic medals to my name, I know a thing or two about the pressure to succeed. Last season, I choked and then injured myself before I could show the world that I'm not a 20-year-old has-been. Focused on the future, I cannot afford to get distracted, but I recognize the desperation in Knox's eyes, and I can't say no to him either. It should have been an easy task, but nothing about Knox is easy. 1 minute we're arguing, and the next I'm enjoying his shirtless handstands a little too much. Falling for him would be a mistake. I am such a big fan of sports romance books in general, but I like that this romance with an Olympian features too often underrepresented sports in, sports romance books, gymnastics and motocross. Can't say that I know a lot about motocross, but I'm excited to learn more. Cycling is in the Summer Olympics, and this year they have admitted a couple of new sports, including breakdancing, skateboarding, sport climbing, and surfing. So maybe we will see motocross as an event in an upcoming Summer Olympics. Who knows? If you read this, then you'll be ahead of the game, but it sounds super cute, so I'm looking forward to checking it out. All right, moving on from gymnastics is a Summer Olympics romance book about a track athlete, and that is Synth Drew by Jay Nathan, and here is what it is about. All Andy Parker has ever wanted, all she's ever dreamed of, is a spot on the Olympic track team. But when an accident leaves her hospitalized with serious injuries and shattered dreams, she's not only uncertain what her future holds, but also completely alone. Drew Slater is a wanted man. Professional football teams want him for his arm. Women want him for his incredible good looks and charming personality. But the well-crafted disguise he wears, the one that helps him score on and off the field, hides secrets, concealed lies, threatens the happiness of everyone around him. One chance encounter brings Andy and Drew together, changing their worlds in ways they never thought possible. Unfortunately, what they thought they knew about themselves and each other might just be the biggest lie of all. All right, not going to lie for me. This book summary has me intrigued, even though I'm not sure how either of their sports will sort of play out in their chance meeting and where they go from there. I have a feeling it's going to bring the angst, though, which is sort of a different emotion than I normally feel when I think of Summer Olympics. I mean, I get tense, right, when I watch the events because I want our athletes to succeed. But this romance sounds like it will bring kind of a different kind of angst, but I'm kind of up for it. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. All right. Next, again, to gymnastics and track. I think another Summer Olympics sport that many fans love to watch is swimming. I remember watching Michael Phelps win all of his medals, and this year I'm going to be rooting for Katie Ledecky and seeing what record she's going to break in Paris at this year's Summer Olympic. She's just amazing. But if you're in the mood to sink into a Summer Olympics romance book about swimming, I have a few, including Stroked by Megan Quinn, and this is what it is about. Reese King, Olympic medalist, underwear model, Greek god. His body is chiseled from rock, sculpted by the weight room, and refined by water. On a daily basis, his skin is completely bare for everyone to see, tan and defined, only covered up by a minuscule piece of spandex. There is no denying his sex appeal. I hate to admit it, but I'm head over heels infatuated with him. There's one huge problem, though. His achingly gorgeous abs, inked up arm, and cocky swagger belong to my boss, the high-profile reality star bitch from hell and certified heinous human being, Melanie Chambers. What I think is going to be an easy job assisting a glorified wench turns into a clusterfuck of epic proportions. I love Megan Quinn, and this is one of her earlier works. I really want to see Reese training to compete in the next Olympics because his career is riding on it, but you also get, I guess, a pretty solid villain in the sports romance too. It's kind of a must if you want a Summer Olympics romance and you love Quinn's other sports romance books, so go back to where it all started with Stroked, with this Olympics romance book. All right. Another Summer Olympics romance book about swimming, if you love the sport, is Second Dive by Jasmine Miller, and here is what that book is about. Noah Winters was my heart's desire, the boy I loved desperately and had hoped to spend my future with, until our plans were derailed and life took us in completely different directions. When our fate changed and our paths crossed again, nothing prepared me for the punch to the heart when I saw him, or his anger and bitterness. He was no longer the boy I once knew, but a hardened Olympic swimmer with life goals that no longer aligned with mine, all because I lied. But sometimes hiding the truth was necessary, especially when it freed someone you loved to reach their aspirations and dreams. It's said that time heals all wounds, but what I found was that it can also create an enemy. That meant I had a choice. Apologize to Noah and possibly let him into my heart again, or allow him to live his life without knowing why I walked away, without knowing that I never actually wanted to leave. So this book is actually book 3 in her Kings of the Water series, which has a total of 4 books, all about professional swimmers. Yum. I picked this one to read first because I love a good second chance romance. I'm a bit worried that I'll be pissed at Chloe for her reason for lying to him, but if it was to help him follow his Olympic dream, then I'll just have to be okay with that. I hope that I'll fall in love with this one and then want to binge read the entire series afterwards. So here's hoping on that one. And we'll just see how it goes. So that book wrapped up my recommendations of romance books to read to get you ready for this year's Summer Olympics. They all sound super delicious and the perfect picks to read this July and August while we are in full-on Olympic mode. But you can absolutely read them any time of year that you're in the mood for a sports romance book. For even more sports romances, you can check out my book list of best sports romance books, best sports romance series, and my lists by sport, best baseball, football, and hockey romance books so far to take your pick of more books to read and add to your TBR list. Definitely drop me a line if you read any of these or if you have a favorite Summer Olympic event that you like to watch. I definitely want to hear it. And before you go, be sure to also sign up for my newsletter at shereadsromancebooks.com/join so that you never miss a list or an upcoming podcast episode with more amazing romance books to read because life is better with a love story. Until next time, happy reading. That's all for this episode of the She Reads Romance Books podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and found some new books to add to your TBR list. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. It really helps me reach more romance book lovers like you, and I appreciate your support. If you're a book boyfriend collector like me, then you'll want to join my email list so you never miss a podcast episode or a new book list. Just visit shereadsromancebooks.com/join and sign up today. As a thank you, I'll instantly send you my list of top 10 book boyfriends that will make you swoon. Trust me, you don't want to miss this list. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.